Hi guys, welcome to the AEVA Queensland September branch meeting. Lovely to see you all again. Tonight we've got the AGM, which for those of you who are not really sure, it's where we kind of dissolve the positions of Director, Chairman, Treasurer and Secretary, and we have a vote for those positions again. I've sent an email out about it and I haven't had any response challenging any of the positions. So based on previous years, I'm going to try and make it as quick as possible because these things are as dry as hell. So basically, when Liz flicks a few slides, I'm going to go through just some of the things that have happened over the last year in terms of the branch itself. And then we're going to get Graeme, are you talking about your car? Tonight's going to be a bit more chilled and not as much presentation, and we'll just talk about the cars and have a social chat and have tea and coffee tonight rather than an actual presentation up the front here. So we'll just do whatever we want, won't we? Especially in that period where the positions are dissolved, and then we can, yeah. All right, in the last year, the Facebook page grew by 30% from 3,000 members to nearly 4,000. And you can see it's kind of growing about 1,000 a year, so that's pretty good. The membership base is very stable, and those numbers aren't varying very much, but it's quite funny that just as many people who don't rejoin are replaced by people who join. So it's quite stable in that regard. I'm relatively sure Queensland is the largest branch in the national sort of body, mostly probably because we do Cleveland and we get a lot of business memberships out of that, but we've got a pretty active community too, so that helps. Just a quick rundown of what we achieved in the last year. Obviously 10 hall meetings that a lot of you guys have come to. We did AEVA car park catch-ups at Hurston, where we did the barbecue that day, Indooroopilly, Lutwyche, Murrayfield and Mount Omni, so they were all very good. I wrangled a few of you into coming to the Redcliffe Library and I did a talk down there. A few of us went out to Gayndah for the Orange Festival, which is a challenging EV drive based on the distance. So that was a fun time and interesting time. Kenilworth, we did that fun where we got the 10 cars with all different makes and models, and we went and checked we did the same trip and checked the efficiencies back on the charger. That was good. Obviously, we've got the EV experience on Sunday, in case anyone hadn't noticed. No one? No? Okay. I have spammed about 1,000 times about it, so come and contact me if you don't know about it. I'll tell you all about it. But the events we went to were the Sanford EV Experience, the Noosa EV Expo, and the Moreton Bay Eco Fest is on the following Saturday. If anyone can make that, that would help me out because they're only after a few cars. I'm not doing anything too big, but maybe sub 10 cars, that would be helpful. There's about 5 or 6 of us at the moment, so just after a few more if you're up Caboolture way. Okie doke. Now, just in terms of speediness, did you want to say anything, Les, as the director? Do you want to give a report, or you want to go at the end? Okay. Just to speed things up, I'm going to speak on behalf of Wayne and Jeff, just for the secretary and treasurer side of things. But this is stuff you guys, I'm sure, aren't that interested in, but just for the terms of an AGM. We started the year with $6,300. We have some money in the bank from donations to Still to do the hall improvements like the charger and the solar and looking at getting a battery. The hall hire and cupboard $720 a year. The coffee and stuff is around about $20 a month. The Cleveland Expo is costing us roughly about that much. So the total's around 1,200. We get a little bit of income back from people becoming members. It doesn't come directly to Queensland. Obviously, as people sign up as members and business members, that kind of offsets some of that money. But people who don't become members also pay 200, and we get some of that directly towards Queensland. So overall, I try and, one of the goals of Cleveland is to throw a huge EV event and just have it sort of cost neutral, so people are happy to join in. Don't have to pay $10 just to go and show your car for 3 hours, that type of thing. I know some of the EV events that were on the previous year, just for a 3x3, you were looking at $2,000 or $3,000 just for a 3x3 gazebo. So $125 membership or $200 for a business isn't probably that much in those terms. So total expenses $2,100, and we've got a bit in petty cash from you guys popping money in there each month, and we use that to cover food and coffee and tea. Is that it? Yeah. Okay. See, that was quick. I didn't even realise it was how quick it was. That was good. All right, there you go. Oh, you typed that. You stuck that in, didn't you?
Hey. So this is kind of the first year we've had the directors, because we changed the constitution. So I'm the Queensland's first representative as a director. So some of the items we've gone through have been, we changed some of the communications. So this stuff was kind of always there, but it was never really formalised. So we've started to formalise all of that. So we've been talking with like Norway and USA and UK, a few other groups. The other thing we're doing is when we first did the constitution, there were some mistakes. So when we find mistakes, we go back, look at them, pull out what the changes need to be, and then vote to push them through. So one of those was we accidentally put a line in that meant that if you were under 21, you couldn't actually join. So it was like, oh, I know it was just an oversight, but yeah, so there's a few little things we tidy up every now and again. The other one was discussion papers. So when they get together, they'll call for things that they need to send out to the membership, and then that's how your feedback comes back to the national group, which then helps create the policies. So things like that, like there's a privacy policy now. So we never really had one before. We kind of followed the normal rules, but it wasn't actually formally there. So we've started to get that. We've also started doing a national resource for corporate communications. So we kind of found this, like whenever, say you want to do like your EV Expo and you want to talk to like Nissan or whoever, they didn't know who to talk to in the AEVA, and the AEVA members in each state sometimes didn't know who to talk to the other way. So we're going to make that so that way it just makes it easier to know who to contact. The other ones, we've been doing submissions to federal government requests for response. So we did one large one this year. So so those things have been going through. So that had a lot of responses back from states, and then they just got pulled together. They've also started the social media presence. So they're looking at a person who can just do that role to try and make a lot of our social media look very similar or like more homogeneous. So that way, if you want to do whatever, like put out some event or whatever, you can actually ask them for help, and they can send you like, use this template, use this wording, that kind of stuff. Use this icon or logo or, and the other one is we're changing the shared infrastructure. So right now they've just run a website, but they want to change that to also do email, because right now every state, the email just goes into whoever's the secretary's personal email is, and then if that person, say, left, then unless they handle that email off to the next person, no one knows whatever they said. So yeah, so we're changing that so that you'll just take over an email box and then the next person can see, and so that way you don't kind of lose that info. Also the communication, so like the newsletters and other things, we're trying to make that a bit better. The interface is a bit clunky, but we're trying to get that going a bit better, and the shared calendar. And also right now they do the membership, but they're trying to fix the membership to be a little more easy. So there's still some quirks where it doesn't quite work right. So that's all I have for that.
All right, so there is stuff happening at the national level that perhaps doesn't get discussed from month to month, but yeah, obviously we'll keep you abreast of that in the next year. Right, now the committee is dissolved, and I'll ask Nathan to come up just to handle the proceedings for the election process. You're all waiting with bated breath for this, aren't you?
He's out. That's it. As I seem to traditionally do, I'll hold the mic for the voting process. So, yeah, we're going to dissolve sort of president, secretary, treasurer, and director, and then ask for nominations in the way, and vote that through, and so on and so forth. So, we'll start with the big job.
That's the director, mate.
Oh, the director. We'll start with the director. So first of all, officially throw all of those positions open, and I'll start with the director and call for nominations for director for the Queensland branch on the National Committee.
I'll nominate Les.
Okay, a nomination for Les.
I second Les.
Oh, there's a seconder. Thank you very much. It feels like an auction. Oh, it's like you've been here and done this before. Silence compliance, fantastic. The ayes have it, and thank you very much for your ongoing service, Les. Well done. We might leave you to last. Treasurer. Do we have any nominations for treasurer for this next coming year?
I'd like to nominate Jeff.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much. Would anybody like to second Jeff if he would like to take that on?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Jeff, would you accept that nomination if you were to be is anybody else interested in taking on the role of treasurer? Okay, cool. Can I see a show of hands as to whether or not we're comfortable with Jeff joining that role? Thank you. So, congratulations, Jeff, the role of treasurer. And so we'll do secretary, because I said I'll leave him to last, or leave that position to last. So anybody like to nominate somebody for the role of secretary for the branch? Oh, okay. Okay, we've got that. Thanks, Jeff. We've got a nomination for Wayne to continue the role of secretary. Have I got a seconder? Yeah, okay, fantastic. Thank you for that. Thanks, Mitch. So we've got that. Wayne, would you take on the role if you were voted in? Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, so please raise your hand if you're happy for Wayne to continue in his role as secretary. Fantastic. Thank you. That was a unanimous vote. Well done. Congratulations. And last and least, president for the branch. Have we any nominations for the role of president for the branch?
I'll nominate John Day.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Chantel. Have we got a seconder? Oh, they're coming out the woodwork. Fantastic. So everybody's into the flow now. That's well done. John.
I'll accept that nomination, thank you.
You'll accept that nomination. Well, thank you very much. Now, let's just see whether or not the crowd's up for that. So, if you'd like to have John continue in the role, please let us know. Raise your hands. Oh, look at that, quite unanimous. I will give the opportunity for anybody to say no if they would prefer. Only a democratic process. Oh, congratulations, John. No other nominations. That's right, fantastic. I think that brings our committee back in order, and I'll leave you to tell them what you want to do next.
Thank you very much, Nathan, and congratulations to my team. Let's have another successful year. All right, moving right along. Thank you for making that such a quick process. Just wanted to pretty much rattle off these upcoming EV events and then hand over to the guys if they want to talk about their cars, and then that's pretty much it. We're going to have tea and coffee after that, so no long-winded speeches from me tonight. Cleveland EV experience on Sunday, just reminding, okay? Shameful plugging, okay. I'll announce here tonight because this video isn't going to get out until after the weekend for sure, but there will be the F-150 Lightning there. There'll probably be an Aura Cat, an Ioniq 6, the MG4, Kia EV6 GT, possibly the Dolphin. Possibly not. It's looking more unlikely now than likely because they were hoping to get it certified for road use and then been able to drive it from the city in, but it hasn't got that yet. And I've asked them if they can trailer it and still haven't heard if they're going to trailer it. So it's BYD themselves, not a personal ownership, because I don't think they're even out yet, but yes. Among that, a bunch of other interesting stalls and stuff to check out, so it's going to be fun. But possibly, if some people wouldn't mind doing a short amount of time doing test rides, I'm just not 100% on how many people are going to be queuing up for the test rides. If it's way more than expected, then if you can come and just let me know that you don't mind hopping around the block a few times with someone, then I'd appreciate that. But everything else is looking pretty good, and hopefully the weather's going to stay like it has been this last week. It's been bloody brilliant, so looking forward to that indeed. The following Saturday, so that's this weekend, next Saturday on the 30th is the up at Caboolture, there's a Eco Fest. And that's not pure sort of EV related things, that's just they've requested some EVs to be on display. And if we got half the amount that are in the car park tonight, that would be sufficient. So if you're up that way and don't mind, let me know. It's a 3-4 hour thing, maybe just similar to talking to the public, but if you could let me know, that'd be good. Last week, or the week before, I went to the Brackenridge Tavern with for the coffee and cake that David Waterworth holds there once a month, and met a few MG4 owners, and they were coming bringing their cars down to Cleveland, so that was nice. There was that's kind of sort of offsetting some of the EV car park meetups that I do. Like it's during the day, tends to be during the week. Sit down, sort of have a cup of coffee and a bit of cake if you like, and they're another social event. So the next one is on in the 17th of October at Brackenridge, but they've done a Sunshine Coast one up at Yandina, which is a bit further north than Nambour. So they've got one of those on the 9th if you're free. Don't mind running up the coast for that. The next hall meeting is on the 18th of October. We'll almost definitely have the MG4 here. There's still the event over that's held by the national body. It's WA's turn this year. Mentioned it the last few months. Just the WA version of the Cleveland show, pretty much. And just another plug for the 19th of November, Toka are doing a boot camp, possibly here if you've recently bought a Y or a 3. So that's it. Graham, you want to have a quick chat about your work on the 1968 Toyota Corona? Oh, peer pressure. Thank you.
Hey everybody. Okay, so the story with the Corona. There is a story with every car. This particular car belonged to a guy called Brad, who was Joe's husband. He came and did I don't know if you know, we do the classes on DIY building your own electric car one Saturday afternoon a month, and Brad come to one of those classes. Told me about the project, everything was happy. He bought the kit and off he went to he bought half the kit, he went off to do the project, you know. Unbeknownst to me, Brad had a medical incident and he passed away. The car was sort of, as you see in the photo, was in a very raw state, even though he'd got around to putting the electric motor in place. That's as far as he got. Joe and her dad decided as a tribute that they would complete the project to honour Brad. And so they did. They organised and did the reassembly, and the paint work was done by a panel shop, and the chrome work and the upholstery and all that sort of thing was done, and then it was delivered to me. And we basically finished off the installation of the kit. It's just a simple Chinese 96 volt motor. It's, I'm just trying to think, I think it's about a 35 kilowatt pack, something like that. Oops. Hello.
Don't forget the hour part.
The what part?
The hour, kilowatt hour.
Kilowatt hour? Kilowatt hour? What's he talking
on the
about?
sign. We discovered on the sign.
Oh,
There's
sorry.
an A missing.
Yeah, that's me, I'm sorry. Anyway, you know what I mean. Anyway, yeah, so they're 28S, 2P, the 95 amp hour NCM cells. NCM is a chemistry that you find in the Nissan Leafs. Some of I think the Tesla cells are NMC and so on. So it was a common chemistry usually reserved for the manufacturers, and it's became something that we started to find available to us, you know. It's exactly the same cells that I use in the AEVA battery upgrade conversions, and I use them in everything. We're actually doing a jet boat at the moment for a super yacht, and we use the same cells in that. It seemed to be a good power to weight, and so it suited this because we could still have the car as it was. The original fuel tank came out. We made a box that goes under the back where the fuel tank went. Behind the back seat there's some cells, and over the top of the motor. So if you close up the boot and everything else and driving down the road, no one would ever know, except the fact it's quiet, no one would ever know it's an electric car conversion. We're not sure of the range because we've done a lot of extra things in this car we haven't done before. We have CCS charging, which was a bit of a handy little trick. We have regen braking, and that was getting the regen braking to work properly off the brake pedal with a Chinese kit is not easy, but we finally got it done after many situations where we touched the brake and the back wheels locked up because the regen needed to be set. So it took a little while, got it all done. Joe's pretty happy. Are you happy?
Yes, I'm pretty happy. Yeah, so we just it hasn't fully cycled through the batteries yet to know what the proper range is, but as an example, I can drive around all day, like round town driving, and it doesn't use any charge. It doesn't take anything off the meter.
Yeah. So you've got a 10 bar gauge. If you're looking for the fuel gauge, it's in the glove box. We hid all the the science experiment-y looking stuff in the glove box. So again, if you're looking in through the window, you wouldn't know it was an electric car, and that was really the whole point, is to keep the original look and feel of the car. Drives around everywhere in third gear, don't bother with anything else. So yeah, the car's happy, everything works fine. We had a little hiccup with the charger. We had one faulty charger. We had to replace that yesterday. Senator Roberts, by the way, come past the workshop. We gave him a little education on electric vehicles and dispelled some of the myths he's spouting. So he's a little bit more educated now, which is a good outcome. He's still a bit of a coal head, but you'll never change people overnight. But it was an interesting morning. He met you and saw the car. You rolled in just as he was sort of starting to head off, and he's waited another half an hour, and you guys filled his ears full of stories. So, you know, that was a good outcome. Regardless of what you think of the guy, you know, if we can persuade people with a negative attitude to take on a more positive attitude, it's a good thing. But this car certainly knocked his socks off. He was quite impressed with that, you know. So, is there anything you'd like to add?
No.
No?
That's good.
Yeah, Joe's a little shy, I think. Yeah, right.
Fast charging, Graham?
No, only just it's the only thing we hooked it up is for CCS. So it'll do the public CCS charging. We made her up a lead to charge at home on 15 amp. It's only got a 3 kilowatt charger in it, so that's the best it'll ever do. When we get more experience, we might look at a 3-phase. That's using the CCS plug. We can probably have a 3-phase charger in there later on. But at the moment, this is the capabilities we have, is to put this, just keep it as a 3 kilowatt. So, yeah.
Before you run away, is there any other questions?
Did you put an exhaust pipe on it?
I could. What sound would you like? Yeah, we'll do something, make it a Volkswagen sound. That'll confuse them. Yeah, dack, 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 yeah. Anything else? Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, the paint is amazing. I think that's really what attention to detail on some of the cars we've had in here over the last few years is just what makes them, you know, perfect. So we've got Jeff and Ash. Ash is not speaking, but she has saved for 7 years to purchase the Fiat E500.
500.
No E? Oh, 500E. I'm a noob.
Yeah.
But speaking of paint jobs, I'm pretty blown away by that. I've seen the hypercolour before, and that doesn't do anything for me, but that's
pretty cool.
that's extremely cool. Yeah. So it's well, there's always one, isn't there?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll have a check. Okay.
All right. Just a few minutes, a few questions, and we'll have tea and coffee.
Yep. So as I say, it's my daughter's car. She's been saving since she was 14 years old. So yeah, which John already said. But yeah, it's not bad for a first car, really, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, and this was actually the first. I don't think it was the first in Australia. It was definitely the first in Queensland. They were going to give it to her on a Friday, and then when they tried to register it, Queensland didn't have it in the database yet. So they had to actually make a request, and they personally drove it out to her on Monday. So yeah, it was the first one definitely in Queensland. It's a great little car, ground up EV. It's got 84 kilowatts for those who are interested. It's got a 42 kilowatt hour battery. I'd say runs off a sniff of an oily rag, but it's the wrong metaphor. It has 144 watt hours per kilometre on the window. Ashley's saying that she's getting between 10 and 12 per 100. So it runs on very little juice. It's a fun little car. It's not a bad, yeah. I mean, she drives very safely, and of course. But no, it's got a bit of pep. It's such a light car. It's such a small car. I mean, I remember driving the Volvo in here, and I had about that much either side. She could have almost driven that in sideways. It's just a little dinky thing. Easy to park.
This is coming from a Mini owner.
It's smaller than the Mini. As I say, it's about 20 centimetres shorter and about 5 centimetres narrower. So, no, it's a great little car. It's got, I mean, inside is it leather seats or are they? Anyway, they're leather-like. I don't know whether it's politically correct nowadays to have leather, but it's great. It's got all the bells and whistles, everything you expect, and yeah.
What's the price tag for 7 years of saving?
For 7 years of saving, do you want to know? About $60,000. That's with all the extra bits put in as well. So I think it's about 53 or 54 or something. And then once you start putting in all the bits, the extra bits, the paint protection, the tinted windows, all that sort of stuff, it adds up pretty quickly. So yeah.
And comparing to say something like the Renault Zoe, it's just chalk and cheese.
Oh yeah.
I would never consider the Zoe, but I wouldn't necessarily consider that car either. But if you had a choice of the two,
it's a great looking car, I will say, and I mean the paintwork does set it off. But the thing actually, it handles beautifully. It's a very light car. It's low to the ground. It actually is a great car. It's it's not an econo box. It's a fun car to drive.
And are you still at home? So this is a 3-car home.
3 EVs, yep.
EV household.
Yeah, no, 3 EVs, and as soon as we've managed to sell the other one.
Quoting 3 EVs in that.
Yeah, a bit of a fight for the charger. Well, actually there's not, because the Mini just charges off 240 volts. So, yeah, but those two have to fight.
What's your favourite surprise feature? It's the thing that's caught you out.
If you don't want to talk, you can tell me. Just you don't know. Go on. What's your favourite? Good stereo. It's got a good stereo. Yeah. And it
must be around 350 to 400.
Yeah, it's about.
Based on what you're
Yeah, it's about 350. On the sticker, as I say, the stickers are never right. The sticker says 311. It's about 350 plus. It depends. On the freeway, obviously, you're going to do less. Around town, you're going to do more. But yeah, I think it took you about 2 or 3 weeks just to charge it for the first time, I think. Yeah, to Carindale and back 5 days a week from western suburbs, and yeah, charges at the weekend or something at the bank of mum and dad. Yeah.
Any other questions, guys? Yes, Gav?
Was it imported through Fiat Australia?
Yes. No. It came through Fiat. Bought from Indooroopilly Fiat in that weird little, car shop thingy there.
How long did it take to get rid of it?
Ordered it in January. Picked it up on 31st of July. What's that thing? Oh, November. Did we order it in November? Wow. Okay, November to July. So yeah, there you go, Becker.
Does it have the speaker in the back which emanates the
Yes.
The subwoofer?
Yeah, it actually has quite an interesting sound. It's got the, I thought at first it was operatic, being Italian sort of thing. Well, it has a weird startup sound, I tell you what. But no, it has the speaker, similar to the Mini. I think most European cars, if not all of them, it's now mandatory to have a tone when you're driving under 30k an hour. So anything coming from Europe will have that sound. So it's not obnoxious. I reckon it sounds a bit like the Jetsons. You know, for those people who watched the Jetsons when they were younger, yeah, George just sort of, yeah.
Any other questions, guys? Yes, mate?
Is the regen fixed or can you adjust it?
You can turn it on and you can turn it completely off and on. It has normal, range, Sherpa, and Eco. Okay. Yeah,
Sounds like something we need to test in the car park later on.
But yeah, Sherpa mode's basically just meant to get you there. I think that's what they meant by it. It cuts everything you can out, and it adds another 50 to 100 kilometres to the range, but you can't go very fast. It caps it at 80 kilometres an hour. There you go.
Very good.
Does it have a spare wheel?
No, like most of the ones nowadays, like my Mini doesn't have a spare wheel, the Volvo doesn't have a spare wheel.
Does any car have a spare wheel these days?
No?
Nissan does?
No, Tesla, no. They've all got the puncture repair kits, and if the worst comes to worst, you press the button in the middle and the people come and get you, so. The SOS button.
How many RAV4 tyres go with the Addo 3 that's got told today like you want it?
Oh, quick tip.
Yep.
You get stuck.
RAV4 tyres.
RAV4 tyres.
Go
Nissan Leaf tyres, wheels also
Oh, there you go. So,
Yeah.
I've seen a leasing car though.
Any missing any wheels? No.
All right, well, thank you very much, Jeff and Ash. Thank you for bringing it in. It's a very lovely car, and we'll probably... Can you take it for a test drive? I doubt it. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 2023 AEVA Queensland branch meeting. Tonight we have a few things on. I'll do my normal chat. Pete's here to have a talk about his big drive, not just up the coast and around. He went all inland. He's going to tell us about that. And we've got the Honda and the Ioniq 6 here on display. Thank you to those guys once again. Next, we're going to hit the news first. I like to mix things up. Today, I don't know if you saw, but it's absolutely spamming all over the internet, and that's the Chris Vanderstock and Kath Davies won their High Court challenge against the Victorian government. So some of you obviously are aware of that, but they were paying they brought in an EV tax, and I believe New South Wales has as well. And essentially it's based around, they've brought in a levy or an excise that they're not allowed to.
It's not constitutional.
It's not constitutional because only the federal government can do that. Now that's funny because there's these other things that they've brought in that are not EV related that now are going to have to be reviewed, like other ways they earn money from the government. So I don't know, mate. I don't know. It just happened today. I'm assuming there'll be a few. Yeah, fresh off the press, mate. Yeah. Look, it's probably. Chris Vanderstock wrote that he'd already spent $1,200, so, you know, I don't believe the Victorian finances are in that good of shape, so I don't know if they can afford to give the money back anyway. So, anyway, I guess we'll find out. The other little bit of news is that the BYD seal is here and or available for ordering. Is anyone interested in the BYD seal? Put your hand up, please. It's all right. Like, don't have to. This is an EV group. Come on.
If they can slice about $800 off performance, it would come under the rebate threshold too.
$800.
The performance is 68,788.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Well, maybe they will. Maybe. All right. Well. Tomorrow night in the Valley is the opening of the BYD Seal grand opening. If anyone wants to join me, come and see me. Does anyone own a BYD here except for Francisco? Oh, that's a shame because I had all these BYD hats and key rings to hand out, so you guys mustn't want those. That's fine. I'll hand out a few of those later on, hey? All right, so just, I won't labour this point, but these prices are before on-road costs, so maybe a few thousand extra. This is quite interesting, I thought. There's, so about 60, it would be about 61 or 62,000 before the rebate. So those prices are pre-rebate, so you'll probably find that all of those on-road costs and then you take the rebate off ends up being lower than that. So the mid-seal would probably be something like 56. Quite a large battery with decent range. Me being me, I checked the efficiency of 61 kilowatt hours for 460 and 83 kilowatt hours for 570, and there were two different efficiency ratings. Obviously there's 130 kilos different in weight, but there was something like it was about 1.5 or 2 kilowatt hours per 100. So as normal, those numbers are a grain of salt. Is anyone watching online the actual, I should do a deep dive on this, but it kind of only happened the last couple of days, but when someone gets one, I'll get it in and I might do a deep dive there. But it is a direct competitor to the Model 3, obviously. I've already seen a bit of commentary, like, why does everyone compare it to the Model 3? Like, I would have thought that was pretty obvious. Very similar, and they're cheaper, so it makes sense to me. But
Can I tell you something?
yes, mate.
On the subject of weight, you know that the EC11 van?
Yes.
I tried with 750 kilos loaded and unloaded, and the difference is 4% in consumption. 4%. So 4% more by adding 750 kilos.
But when Peter brought that, he said he had 3,000 kilos in there or something, and it wasn't really that detrimental to range.
No.
So I don't know.
So, you know, when they say, oh, you know, EVs are heavier, the difference is very low.
Yeah, well, EVs aren't always heavier than a Land Cruiser or a Hilux. So
It's 300 kilos heavier
yeah,
than Model 3. It's not going to be
yeah,
a big difference just because of the weight.
yeah. All right, let's move on. My normal infrastructure update. The charges are falling, like the freebies are getting hammered. Now last month, actually I didn't do anything last month. In August, I said that they brought on the St. Lucia one at full speed and it lasted 6 weeks. I'm sorry to have to be the bearer of bad news, but it's offline. Free charges are not turning out to be a good idea. That one is getting absolutely smashed. Last month or the previous month I had 11 or 14 check-ins a day, I think it was. And that's just the people checking in, not the people as well charging who forget. So I'm quite interested by that though, the fact that that's getting hammered and it's holding up at that slower speed. I'm not sure what's happening there, but can you think of anything?
Sounds like an inverter.
It's just doing well, it's 30 kilowatt instead of 50.
Actually, no. It'll be the temperature.
Temperature? Okay.
Because if it's turned down, but it's always been hammered, then
It doesn't get as hot?
No, the thing that changes the AC to DC, it likes being warm. Every time it cools and, so every time it gets cold and hot again, it stresses. And it's only got
It's like a cycle.
Yes, but it stays hot.
But it stays hot.
Yeah, because that's what happened in Norway.
So what you're actually saying is no one was using these enough, these broken ones, so they should have been on them more. Okay.
Yeah, because Bronwyn had charges that used to do like 24 to 30 a day.
Yeah.
And they were fine.
Yeah, okay. Well, next month then might not even be a free infrastructure slide, so we'll see.
Yeah, but also none of those charges will have maintenance contracts.
No, well they're the old ones, aren't they? So
Yeah, but if you buy
they're outside their warranty stuff.
But say if you buy a maintenance contract, then spare parts are put aside, there's SLA to get it fixed.
Yep. Okay, BP making some good strides providing EV charging around the neighbourhoods. So I won't go, they're pretty much the same, either they've got one charging head or two charging heads, but this is a little bit more just to let you know that they're around. So Bribey got finished in early September. I don't know why it's showing 72 kilowatts available. That's a bit odd. But it's dual CCS over there, so.
Yeah, that's set by the back.
Okay.
Yeah. So that might be the.
It says 75 on every other one I've seen.
No, the unit. No, because if you're going up north, it only has 70.
They've limited Marucci in 63 for
Is it?
at least 2 months now.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like a power supply issue with that site.
Yeah. So when it boots, it sends two commands, one for simultaneous speed and one for single speed. And
Okay, cool. I have it on good authority. This is when the BP northbound opened and I went there and did a little video. They're putting in a second charging head at the northbound BP, you know, the twin BPs, so the north one. Now, Oh, I haven't. Yeah, the new one should be dual CCS. That one there's a Chartamo and a CCS. The other side of the road, the southbound, is a single head with dual CCS. So this is pretty much, you're going to see what's happened at a lot of the BPs where they're putting in 3 CCS plugs and 1 Chartamo.
Yeah. That one is the one that's 2 and 70.
2 and 70.
So if you charge at 70, if I roll over and plugged in, you get 2 and I get the rest. yeah. I checked with the guys at Tritium, they're like...
Like literally 2?
Yeah, they're sending 2. Someone must have done a typo.
They forgot the 5. They put 2.5 or something else.
I don't know.
I thought the RTM had 325 packs, so you'd only get 50-25.
That's not an RTM, that's a...
That's actually 150 kilowatt, but it's only got the, well, it should have 150. It's got the cables for the 150, but I think at the moment the supply isn't good enough to give the 150. And perhaps if they're just going to bank all the heads there, that they're not going to do 150s. Seems strange to, anyway, maybe it's some sort of future proofing where they put in 150s, but one day they're going to plan to upgrade the supply side of things. Anyway, another BP, Narangba. 3 CCS and 1 Chartamo. Nice looking thing. A couple of these, next one mate, a couple of these sites that are coming up have a different layout too that I haven't seen before. So I mentioned ChargeFox at Castledine. Now, maybe someone can explain to me why they're in black plastic.
Because you upset the boss last time.
Well, from using it.
Yeah,
well, see how it's turned on? Why don't they just turn it off?
Because you upset him and now you everything up.
It's not just ChargeFox, but...
Does he even own it anymore?
I don't know.
I thought it got sold.
Look, you use one charger that's got a bit of fencing around it when it's not even online yet, and they...
Those are well out of warranty.
Yeah, so the reason I'm asking why is there... Okay, so last month or the month before when I showed this, they didn't have black plastic on. They're in the weather unit. They've been on the roof of Toombul for 2.5 years, 3 years. Why are they in black plastic?
Just to stop people.
They're turned on. You can see the green light at the top there. Right, anyway.
I got checked lunch. There's probably someone went there and went, oh, it's not on.
Anyway, I just thought it'd be funny. And they don't even have like, normally have ChargeFox symbols down here as well. Anyway.
No, yeah.
Maybe they don't own them.
Bought by someone.
Okay. Ferny Grove, for people who live out that way. Single head. Next one.
Is that channel? No.
Nah.
Useless.
You just got a new battery. What are you complaining about? You don't.
Oh,
BP at Goodna. Now, I'd mentioned this one a few times before, but it actually opened, according to PlugShare, late July. And it was a guess that it might be 4 CCS, but it turned out to be 3 CCS and 1 Chartamo. It's pretty, you're getting the recurring theme here. It's, someone made the correct decision to keep 1 Chartamo and do the rest CCS. Good on BP. EV Networks, we're still waiting for the opening of Cleveland. It must be close. Gary, any ideas? Have you been by Natalie? Come on, mate. You're my guy down there. You need... Did this stop? Thank you. So it's got the new layout, right? So charger either side. I guess for Model 3 owners, that's on that side if you reverse in. That's it. Thank you. And if you just drive in straight, it's on that side. So works out all right. Mount Isa. Everyone's been hanging out for this one. Mount Isa finally opened. And once again, has the same as Julia Creek with the 2 bays so you can have a trailer. Now, Julia Creek, I told you I'd keep you updated on this one because I know you're all enthralled. It got a check-in October the 16th. Now, this was September something, this photo. So, black plastic again. So, not in black plastic in June, and they put them in black plastic.
They don't ship plastic.
What are they doing with the plastic?
Someone's going to the effort of wrapping.
They're turned off. They're turned off.
Is that the thing that ACDC wall?
They ship in a beautiful box with foam.
Look, I just don't get the black plastic thing. Anyway,
There's
just for shits and giggles, I looked at the last time it rained in Julia Creek, and it was in July. Okay, so I don't know whether it was too much rain and then they decided to wrap it, but it's 3 months since it last rained there. So I mean, come on. Gundawindi, a good link to New South Wales between Warwick. I mean, you can charge at Warwick, I think, and then go to Gundawindi and then down the Newell. So Gundawindi's muchly anticipated. Once again, a different layout. Haven't seen that layout before. Perhaps that if you have a trailer on that one, you are blocking someone in, but we'll see.
Well, it can do 2 at the same time. So you can,
Yeah, but if you've got a trailer and you don't want to unhitch, you're going to block the other person in, aren't you? Or you're going to block the bay.
How many people you seen with a trailer?
Few.
Hardly.
A few people are mentioning it. All right, just a quick wrap up of around the Queensland. So they brought in Mount Isa, so that leaves the red one still to go. Still 9 to go. That's Gundawindi. I think we've heard Cunnamulla is started and Emerald started, so we're waiting on those. The others, haven't seen too much about those yet. And that's pretty much it for the infrastructure side of things. We've been...
You forgot the variable pricing.
Sorry, mate. Variable pricing for what?
From BP.
Okay. Next month.
Did you get my message about the losses that the fuel industry is having?
Yes, mate. I can't talk all night, okay?
$288 million.
$280 million loss.
At the moment.
Well, they're losing that a year. They're losing that.
That is how much EVs are taking away from, if you go on average, say 8 liters per 100 k's, that would be about 2,400 for the average person driving 15,000 k's a year. So that would be about $2,400 on fuel per year. And we've got about 120,000 EVs. So that means that on average, they are losing about $288 million on sales.
Like $280 million is a drop in the ocean for those guys, right? Yeah, but the thing is as well, I'm sure I'm not telling anyone here anything new, but there's 2 things that are happening to the fuel industry. Cars are getting more efficient, as well as EVs that aren't using any fuel are coming online. So there's actually, it's pincering the amount of fuel that's required as, more and more older cars are retired and more cars come online that are only using 5, 6 litres per 100. So yeah, they're going to feel the pain eventually. Who knows what the actual effect of that is? They can just cut the amount they produce and keep the price high, but they're just obviously not selling as much. So I guess we'll find out what happens over the next 10 years with that. But are we really concerned? Not really. Still hurts to fill up my wife's car at $200 a time, but not everyone has 2 EVs per household, but we still have to wear that pain, don't we? All right. It was $2.35 for fuel too, which was a bit high this month. Yeah. Next one, mate. Yep. All right, a couple of EV events coming up. Now, the World Solar Challenge, I keep looking at this, but I don't want to misspeak about this, but this is, I find this, actually, the more I look at it, the more I'm interested in it. And essentially, there are around about 100 teams who do a 3,000 kilometre drive from Darwin to Adelaide, and I think they race based on average speed. So generally the last couple of years, well, they haven't had it for the last few years because it's every second year and we had the pandemic. So this year, I think it's kicking right back into gear. They only get 5 kilowatt hours of battery and the rest they have to drive on solar. So a lot of you I know are into solar, a lot of you I know are into electric cars, so this is actually, what I might do is see how Team Arrow go, if they want to come and tell us in the new year or something about how they handled it. Basically, you drive until 5 p.m. and then you just camp in the middle of nowhere on the side of the highway. You have to be fully self-sustained until you've done all 3,000 kilometres. There's 9 checkpoints. It's actually, and a lot of it's just uni students, so I had the thought, I wonder how many uni students are going to handle, just the desert at night. I don't know what facilities they take, but maybe we'll find out that if I can get Team Arrow to come in. The AEVA national events in Perth on the 4th and 5th. Next hall meeting on the November 15th, and I think we'll probably have Kev's MG4 among other things. And for those of you that are watching or here, there's a boot camp for Model 3 and Y owners if you've just gotten yours on the 19th of November with Toka in Wynnum. I didn't place that picture very well, did I? The Brackenridge Tavern, November 21st, there's a coffee, cake and EV thing. That's a monthly thing, that's pretty good. And I'm open to suggestions about where you want to have the Christmas party. We can have a barbecue, or I can actually book the Breakfast Creek Hotel this time. No? Where is that at? Okay, I'll look into that.
Where is it?
Brisbane Car Museum at Nudgee.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The other thought was the place down on the Gold Coast where all the boats are. They've got a car thing there too. Coomera, I think maybe it is. Is it? It's like a diner with a bunch of cars. Anyway, not Breakfast Creek Hotel, I got told. Okay, so righto, no worries. Okay, Pete, you're up, mate. Pete's got a Model 3 and done that trip. Oh, sorry, done that huge trip. So take it away, mate.
Thanks very much, John. Yes, so I've just returned from Western Queensland on a trip out to Winton. Next slide, please. I've had an electric car since 2017, just clicked through a few more times, and so we started with the AEVA. It's still going strong. We got an upgrade from Graham at AusDIY, so that's, fantastic. We've also been to Europe riding around on electric bikes, and next one, that was a hire car we took, the Zoe in the Slovenian Alps. Got that long-range Model 3 in 2019, and since then, done quite a few trips in Queensland. You can see the COVID kept me in Queensland a fair bit. I've got family and work colleagues up in Cairns as well, so there was lots of things to see along the coast, so we've done quite a few trips up and down, and then that last trip last year to Mittagong just demonstrated to me how quickly you can travel in an EV. I think I travelled from Mittagong to Brisbane in 10 hours plus less than an hour of charging. So yeah, it's really not hard to do the big distances quickly now in an EV. Next. And so then back in 2021, the Queensland Government announced a plan to extend the superhighway out to Western Queensland, which I was excited about because I've obviously seen the coast plenty of times now. And so yeah, started planning that trip. And then next slide. Yeah, so this is the trip. All the way up to Cairns, spent a couple of weeks up in Cairns for some work things, and then my family flew up and we went and explored Western Queensland. Next slide. So the first trip straight up the coast was pretty easy. We usually do that in 2 days. I was going up with a colleague this time, first time for him in an EV, so it was a good experience for him. And as you can see, we stopped at Gingin. Unfortunately, we had to wait for someone else there, but the only reason we stopped at Gingin was because we checked PlugShare and the next 2 chargers were out. So I guess the lesson for everyone is when you're relying on single charger points, you need to check ahead. Because yeah, we would have been caught short. You can see the state of charge profile there. So the first stop was at Gympie, just because it's a supercharger. It's the fastest place to charge on the first day of the trip. You can see the charging sites on the red dots there, and then Gingin, and then up to Rocky. We stayed at Mackay that night. Whenever you're going on road trips, the best place to charge is while you're sleeping. So always choose accommodation that has charging. It'll save you half an hour at least every day if you get a charge overnight. Since then, one of the charging spots that has opened up is the Calliope supercharger. That's got some funding from the Queensland Government, so that's open to everyone who I think uses CCS. And that's just south of Rockhampton. So next trip I'm planning will be just 2 charging stops to get to Emerald. So there'll be the supercharger at Gympie, and then the supercharger at Calliope will be enough to get all the way to Emerald. So that's going to speed up that trip quite a bit rather than relying on 50 kilowatt chargers. So that's nice to see a few more of the faster chargers going in central and north Queensland. Second day was pretty quick, straight. EV have 2 350 kilowatt chargers at Proserpine and Townsville there. So I mean, you pay twice the price, but when you're in a hurry, they're worth it. And yeah, next one. So that got us to Cairns. And again, one more slide, please. So yeah, the next trip, this was leaving Cairns up on the Atherton Tablelands. You can see Mount Emerald Wind Farm up there. I just thought I'd show you this one. I've never really minded not having a dash, to be honest, in the Model 3, but there is now a solution for anyone who's concerned about not having a dash. It's called TesLogic. It just wirelessly connects into your phone, and yeah, you can sort of get a feel for it. Gives you a dash, gives you some details about what's going on in the car via your phone if you want, that sort of thing. So yeah, next one. So first night, you can see over on the right up the north there, we stayed at a couple of caravan parks. So if we go to the next slide, the first stop was at Tullaroos Hot Springs. That's a campsite owned by the traditional owners up there. Next slide, next click please. And yeah, this is the way people have been getting around Australia for a long time. Nothing particularly new, but I was just charging there off the 15 amp caravan outlet. That's usually enough to get me maybe 350 Ks overnight. You can see I'm using a little Watt Pilot, which is designed to talk to the inverter at home. It's a Fronius Watt Pilot, but it also has an adapter that I use to allow me to charge at 15 amps remotely, because when we got the Model 3 in 2019, it was coming with a tail that only was rated for 12 amps on the 15 amp charger. So when you're charging at those sort of speeds, you want as much as you can get. So that's good because that gives me the full 15 amps. So yep, that night we stayed at Tullaroos. The next one, please. We stayed at Ndara lava tubes. Pretty impressive geological formation. Lots of interesting lava tubes to explore there. And obviously I mean, this is very dry savanna up there. So the way this sort of rainforest remnant appears is quite impressive. But once again, just another caravan park we were charging at there. And back to the map, please. So you can see basically that leg from the top there, Cairns all the way to Hewenden. There's no DC charges on that route. It is gravel road, probably for about 300 or 400 Ks, so there's a fair bit of dust, so I don't expect I'll get fast chargers in there for a while. But yeah, it's not too hard to do now with the caravan parks at the midway point. You probably want a car with at least 400 kilometres range, and then if you're tight, you can just sort of go gently. There's no traffic, so if you need to sort of get the extra range, just drive it at 80 Ks and you should be fine. Hughenden, I don't have a photo for that, but that was meant to be the first place I charged on the new phase 3 of the Quesh. Unfortunately, the DC charger was down that day, so we spent 3 hours longer than we really wanted to at Hughenden, but there's a dinosaur museum there, so the 7-year-old had a great time, and there was a nice cafe, so yeah, no harm done. And the other good thing about Hughenden is the AC charger that isn't from Quesh is free. So I think the council there have put in a free 22 kilowatt AC charger. So if you do have a bit more time, you can get a free charge there. And then on to Winton. So yep, there's a dinosaur museum. It's really impressive. They're brass statues. The architecture is amazing. Next slide, please. There's some giant dinosaur footprints, so well worth a trip out to Western Queensland sometime, particularly if you've got a kid who likes dinosaurs. Next one. Some more statues, yeah, very impressive. We camped at Bladensburg National Park. Now that there's a DC fast charger in Winton, it was just like a fuel stop. We just pull in the morning and charge up for half an hour while we went for breakfast or whatever. So it makes it very accessible to go lots of trips. Next slide, please. And this was at the Dinosaur Museum as well. Sorry, there's not a lot of photos of chargers and EVs because I wasn't planning on presenting to an EV audience, but these are EVs, I was pleased to say. They're little shuttles. They're running on some lead acid. I'm not sure if it's just 12 volts or they've ramped it up to 48 volts or something. You can also sort of see there's some solar panels on those roofs, although they told me they might not be working. Thank you. And yeah, you can see they're just charging on a 15 amp outlet or something. They said they charge them just overnight. I think they've got some solar out, or quite a lot of solar out there. I think they're connected to the SWIR network, so they're just running on single phase. And they said they had spent millions on a geothermal plant that wasn't working, unfortunately. So yeah, they're doing lots of cool things out there, as well as sharing the dinosaurs and yeah, digging up lots of new dinosaur bones. Next one. So that was that trip. What can you see here? You can see Tullaroo. Obviously I didn't have reception, but there was a charge overnight there, then there was a charge over at the caravan park at Undara, the relatively faster charge at 11 kilowatts at Hughenden, and then a slow charge overnight must have been at the motel I stayed at Winton. And then yeah, just a few quick charges whenever I needed to at Winton, when we went out to the Stampede where there was some more footprints, when we camped at Bladensburg National Park, and then the last bit here is charging at Longreach and Barcaldine. Yep, so the Quest was working just fine at Winton, Longreach and Barcaldine, so that was great infrastructure to rely on for EV owners. Next one, please. And that, I think, is pretty much it. I've just put in the rest of the trip plan. So from Barcaldine, there was no charges, DC fast charges for all this leg down to Miles. We obviously wanted to go to Carnarvon National Park. You can see a little photo of it there. It's magnificent. If you haven't been there, certainly recommend it. Whether or not you like camping, there's also good accommodation there, I believe, and some magnificent country. So yeah, we just charged at a few friends' places. There is a caravan park at Carnarvon, so you can do that slow charge again there if you need to. There's meant to be, as John said, charges going in at Emerald, Rollston, Injune and Roma, so that will solve that whole leg for us, hopefully. I saw on the plug share that there's been some hold-ups in the Emerald charger, so we did pop into the council and give them a shove along and see what was going on. They said it's apparently in the works, but who knows. I've also heard that the Roma DC fast charger is meant to be getting energised in December, so we'll wait and see for that. And I think that's pretty much all I've got to share, but happy to answer any questions. Yeah, so I have had the Teslafy app. So there's a few different apps you can link your Tesla to, and it just collects all my data continuously for the last 4 years. So yeah, instead of paying for the subscription for the all the data and the $10 a month. I pay $10 a month to Teslafy. So yeah, that's a few other things I could probably share. If you go back to the next slide, one more, the total trip distance was 5,500 Ks. Total charging cost that I paid was $200. And yeah, obviously I charged for free at a few accommodation places and the like. Efficiency on that trip was 169 watt hours per kilometre, so relatively high, but that's because there was a lot of relatively high speeds, 100 kilometres, and relatively high heat. It did get up to 40 at Winton, which seemed pretty hot for spring. The dust filters blocked up. I probably should have got them replaced before we went out there, but it was the aircon was struggling to keep it cool because the dust filters were so blocked up. In terms of, I wasn't too concerned about sort of charger anxiety or range anxiety or whatever they talk about, because I mean I've done these sorts of trips before, but the thing I was nervous about was flat tyres. There was lots of legs there with gravel roads and no mobile reception, so I did have a repair kit, flat repair kit, but I didn't really want to have to test it in anger and didn't have any issues, fortunately. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. All right. That's a big trip. That's not just an up to Cairns and back. That's going out there. You're right. It's the desperation. You didn't carry a spare tyre, right?
No, I didn't.
That's taking your life in your own hands there, mate. Yeah, but a lot of new cars don't have them, do they? So, I mean, you got to. Who went with you?
So my partner and my son, 3 of us. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe room for a tyre in the boot there. Yeah. I think like I got that problem in the Kona actually. It's like if you do want to go on a long trip, you got to find somewhere for the actual spare to go.
Have you had a flat yet?
I haven't had a flat yet. No, I've had a lot of nails in the tyre butt, and fortunately been able to get them plugged because I've always been on the top. But yeah, we've got 4 brand new tyres fitted this week, so I'm hoping that they don't pop anytime soon because they're too expensive. All right, we got, thank you once again, Peter, for that. We got Bob and wife Tracy come in with their Ioniq 6. How old was it?
3 weeks.
3 weeks old.
Today.
Like, I do my hardest to get the newest cars in here, so do you want to just field questions? You got something you want to say about it?
I guess you asked me why I bought it.
Yeah, okay, why did you buy it?
Things. I don't like Elon Musk much.
Whoa, careful. There's a lot of Tesla around.
I just didn't want another Tesla around. And Canada has issues with China, so I didn't want to have a major investment that I was going to be sending my money to China, basically. So, Canada has a few issues now with China and India and a bunch of other things. So, I ended up looking online for a bunch of different vehicles. We have a Hyundai Kona. That was our base model, what we got in 2019. We went back to Canada, and we were there for 2.5 years with COVID, or because of COVID, then came back. And we had the Kona serviced. We got on a list for their new EVs, so when they came out, they'd tell us. And so just before we went back again last year in February, they sent me a message saying you can get on a pit $2,000 down, you can get an Ioniq 5 or a 6. So I sort of jumped on at that point, because in Canada to get one of these things you're waiting a year. So I thought, okay, we're going back to Canada for 5 months, 6 months. It'll be perfect. It'll be here when we get back. So I put my $2,000 down, and I chose the Ioniq 6 basically from range, sight unseen. You know, I looked at a few reviews on it. There weren't many reviews at that time around, but we wanted a car that would have a lot of range because we plan on doing a lot of day trips around from Brisbane and then down from Sydney and traveling around like Peter has done and see the country. So I put the money down, and 2 weeks later, they sent an email saying, your car is ready. I'm going, no, that's not the plan. I want it in 6 months. So they put me on a further list, and then 2 months later, it was there. So it was sitting for 4 months until we came back. So week after we got back, we picked it up. So we went out to Toowoomba on a trip and back, and tried out a charger at Gatton. That's the first time I ever charged it. Then we have solar at home, 11 kilowatt system there, so we just plug it in at home and charge it there.
But why the Ioniq 6 and not the Ioniq 5 or the Kia EV6?
I didn't really want an SUV. We have the Kona, and back home I've got a pickup truck. So we're thinking we might get rid of the Kona, we'll get a ute of some sort to do other things. So for us, as long as I could get, two golf club bags in the back and a push cart, I'd be fine, right? And enough luggage. So you can get 2 full-size suitcases and 2 carry-ons in the boot of that thing. So that's enough for us. We're just, the 2 of us, and we'll have visitors, but I didn't want to buy an SUV just for when visitors came over for extra space. So, and the efficiency is better with that than the Ioniq 5, so that was one of the main things.
Yeah, efficiency is very high on that, obviously with the shape, and from what I've seen online, it will be well over 600 k's around town, and probably 500 on the highway, so very efficient. Hyundai known for their efficiency, so do you know what size the battery pack is?
77.
77, yeah. That's right. And there's normally 2 trim levels in the Hyundais.
Yeah, there's 3 on this one, I think.
There's 3.
Yeah. So this is the base model, rear-wheel drive. Again, it gets you more mileage out of it. Higher range. The 2-wheel drive, the 4 motor one. I think it accelerates a lot faster. It goes 0 to 105.6 seconds or something like that, just over 5 seconds. This one does it in just around 7. And then I guess on the all-wheel drive models, there's 2 trim levels on that one. This one it's not a cheap car. It was $77,000. So it's the most expensive car or vehicle I've ever bought. Yeah. But I'm happy with it so far. It's going well. It's getting about 12.4 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers at the moment. Yeah. So when I charge it up, it gives you what the battery level is and what the anticipated range is, and the highest I've seen is 610 kilometers, the anticipated 100% level. So I think I might get 550 or so, and so that's what I'm hoping for. That'll get me from here to Port Macquarie if I, maybe 15 minutes on a charger somewhere if I need to. Yep. It's fast charging.
Does it have 800 volt charging?
I don't know.
I think it might.
The manual is that thick and I haven't read a lot of it yet. It says it could go from 10 to 80% in half an hour or less or something. Yeah,
they always say that. I think it's got 800 volt charging. I think all the new, the latest Hyundais have that, and that dramatically cuts your charging time down on a 350 kilowatt charger.
Yeah.
You're looking at 100 kilometres per 5 minutes if you are getting the peak speed.
Right.
So not at the top end, obviously, when you're a bit low, but that's certainly convenient for a 15-minute pit stop. You're getting 300 k's, you can easily get to another charger. So lovely.
So there are some annoying things about it. It has cameras that detect speed limits. So it thinks a school zone is 40 kilometers an hour 24/7, and it'll beep at you if you're going 2 kilometers over the speed limit. You can turn it off every time you get into the vehicle. I haven't done that yet because last time I was here, I went 11 kilometers over the speed limit going over the Story Bridge. In Canada, you wouldn't even get noticed. Everyone would be going 20k over, and they wouldn't, you go 130 and 110 zone right past the police. They don't care, right? If you're going faster than that, yes. So I got 11 kilometers over the speed limit, and I thought, okay, $100 maybe, $90 back home, $430. I could not believe it. So I've been hesitant to turn the beeping off because I have sometimes a bit of a lead foot. So, yeah, I've left it on. That's one of the major complaints that people have about it.
Yeah. Any other questions? Come on, how long do you think you'll keep it?
I tend to keep my vehicles a long time, so I usually don't turn them over. I've got a Chevy Avalanche at home that's 14, 15 years old, and before that we had a Subaru wagon that we kept for 20 years. So I don't turn vehicles over very fast. So unless there's something major that becomes a lemon, then I would look at getting rid of it. The Kona will go before this does, and then we'll get a ute to travel around to islands and that sort of stuff. But it won't be used that much.
Have you had any comments about the back end of the car?
Most people say they like it. I mean, I like it. I don't mind it. I think it looks pretty cool. It doesn't look like a Tesla, that's for sure. So it's not similar to any other vehicle that's out on the road. Some people hate the back end and they like the front end. Other people hate the front end and they like the back end. I'm happy with it. I'm fine. I don't, it's not bad. When you're in the car, you're not looking at it either. No. But you see a lot of people, turn around. What's that?
Yeah.
And it's all about efficiency. So there are certain parts of it, like that the black spoiler in the back is plastic. And there are a bit of plastic parts on it, and that's one of the concerns some people have when they were reviewing it. I've put like a ceramic wax on the red parts of it, but I haven't done anything on the black parts yet, because when I did it on the Kona, they sort of went hazy. So I don't know what you guys would use. If someone knows something good to protect black plastic, I'd be interested in hearing what you'd use. But yeah, I'm happy with it so far. Nice displays.
Someone asked if you use the vehicle to load feature.
Has it got vehicle to load?
It has vehicle to load on it, and I plan to get an Nespresso to take with me, so when I charge I can. What I don't know is if I can actually use the internal vehicle to load and charge at the same time.
You can't, because it's the same port, isn't it?
Because there is a
like charge on the inside, from the inside.
There's an outlet on the inside. There's an inside socket in the passenger area.
Yeah.
So.
Oh no, they're separate. The inverter's separate.
Well,
the output inverter's separate.
Well, you'll have to test that.
I'll have to test it. Yeah, I haven't got my Nespresso yet. So. Yeah.
Yeah. No, very good.
So.
Yeah, Hyundai making very nice cars at the moment. I think very popular, very efficient. So thank you very much once again for bringing that in. There'll be plenty of other questions after this, I'm sure. Graham, I didn't really cover the Cleveland show much that we did attend, but pretty much because most of the people here were there, so I didn't want to rehash something that everyone knew. But did everyone enjoy the Cleveland show? It seemed pretty positive. Graham had the Honda there, obviously, so amongst other cars. So yeah, here you go, Graham. All right.
Hello. Okay, so I'm going to give a quick history lesson on this little Honda here. So Bernadette couldn't be here tonight, otherwise she'd be telling you the story herself. But this car, if you look at the photos where you see it all rusty and dinged up, basically I've got a body shell on 4 Space Saver tyres that didn't rotate because they were hard up against the brake drums and all that sort of stuff. So they basically had to drag it off a tow truck. There was no motor, no gearbox, no tail shaft, no diff centre, no brakes at all, no steering column. So there was a lot of stuff missing. So Bernadette wanted to rescue the vehicle. There was no way in the world this car would be on the road again as the original petrol car because there's just so much of it missing. The body shell was just terrible. It was banged up, dented and rusty. The chrome was rusty, the upholstery was shot. So I think I've painted a pretty good picture of what it was like. Had a few parts. It was like the typical milk crates full of bits and pieces. We had to try to work out what they were, and thankfully there was enough bits there to get this thing back to some sort of resemblance of a car. we sent all the, took the body shell off, sent it off to a custom car panel shop that restored the bodywork. Fortunately, the chappie that owned the car, this was sitting in a shed for 35 years, and this was Bernadette's boyfriend that owned it. Well, he died 35 years ago, so he never completed the project, and I think she wanted to do this as a bit of a tribute to him. So we had a look around, and we got the body shell sent away. It took a year for the Queens Road crash to restore the body shell. The chrome work was rather expensive, but had to be done. So luckily, we found enough of the pieces to have a complete set of chrome for the car. The windscreen was actually brand new, still wrapped up, and we got a lovely surprise when we opened it up recently, and we found that the thing was actually dated 1992 when it was made, the windscreen, but it started to delaminate after all these years. So we kind of went into panic mode, and when we realised that the maker's tag on the windscreen was a local glass shop, so we rang them up and they had them on the shelf. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, so we got lucky with that. The upholstery was done, the carpet was done, the wheels are ordinary Honda wheels. We had them returned to make them look really good. At the moment, we went with a direct drive, so we don't have a gearbox. It's got a gear lever in there, but it's just a glorified big switch. And so it's just forward, neutral, reverse, very simple. Accelerator and a brake pedal. So the motor goes into a four-wheel drive slip joint type tail shaft, so that allows a little bit of movement backwards and forwards. We modified the housing to take a Suzuki differential, gave us the 5:11 ratios, so we could get, so the thing would sort of move off the mark pretty well, and it does. We had to turn up our own hubs. It's got a full set of Daewoo four-wheel disc brakes. So we used, Daewoo was a good, which is, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Daewoo is a direct copy of Mitsubishi Magna. So they're just Mitsubishi parts, regardless of what it came off. Allowed us the opportunity to put a decent handbrake on the back wheels. There are no brakes on at the moment, just some ones on the front just to move it around. So within a week or two, the brake shop will have completed all that work. The car has I'm just trying to think, 3P, it's about a 28 kilowatt pack. It's fairly light. By not having a transmission, we actually regain a lot of lost energy. You'd lose a lot of energy running it through a gearbox, so this one just runs straight to the back differential, and that seems to work just fine. There's probably not a lot else to tell you. We set it up for CCS charging, or people call it Type 2 or whatever. We can put three-phase on it later on. It's only just single phase, but the same plug for a three-phase, and that's no problem. If you've got a three-phase outlet like a wall box or something like that, like the one out the front, then happy days, you can plug it in, and you can. And if we put in a three-phase charger, then it'll charge about 11 kilowatts. At the moment, it's just a 3 kilowatt charger, which I think is more than enough. The only last things we've got to do is the brakes. The soft top has arrived from England for it, so we'll be putting the soft top on shortly. And there's a few bits and pieces we're trying to chase in Europe to finish off the window winder mechanisms to make windows go up and down. That's about it, and Bernadette should be driving it in 2 or 3 weeks' time. Questions? Hello?
Right. Do the sense wires go from the central BMS to the front end and back batteries, or how does that go?
The BMS wires, yeah, no, it's basically a 96 volt system, and because they're 3.7 volt cells, that means that we've got 28, but I've got 3P, so I stack up 3 cells in parallel by 28, and so I only have to monitor those 3 cells as though they're one cell. So each cell has a sense wire to it.
Does it all go back to the boot?
It all goes back to the boot, yeah. So we get those looms in 12 foot long, so we can reach the whole car. Yeah, I mean there's other systems, but they get more complicated. I just like to keep it simple, Yeah.
Can you look at software package on an individual cell wire?
Yeah, no, it comes up. The Batrium is a really nice graphics and it's quick to see things, whereas with the Orion, you've got like a chart with numbers on it, and you can still see things, and they do, and cells that are out of kilter, they highlight them in red, so if there's a problem, you can see it pretty much straight away. I have suggested to Orion they look at some sort of graph system, and they sort of come back and said there's plenty of people doing it, but to do that you need to go and buy their little VCU screen or something, and you know, you spend a couple of $1,000s, where I just want them to put it on the software. But anyway, convincing somebody to do something different is not always all that easy, you know. But the Orion has a lot of things it can do. We're coming to grips with learning a lot of things. We can actually now use it to operate the original fuel gauge. We can use it, and we use this one to turn on the Type 2 charge wall boxes. So rather than have to worry about not being able to use them, we can go and we can use a 3-phase or a single-phase Type 2. When you go to your DC fast chargers, there's always a Type 2 box sitting not far away. So that's the plan, to have it. We hid the plug behind the number plate, so the number plate's on the back on a bracket that folds up. Surprisingly enough, they're very common. If you've got a four-wheel drive, you put that on the front for your front number plate when you want to cover up where your winch cable comes out. So they're like $60 or something. It was an easy modification to do, and I think if every time we do it, we'll do the same thing. We'll hide that filler plug behind the number plate, you know. Questions? Yeah.
What sort of motor did you put in? It's a 96-volt system. Is that you using induction or are you using something?
No, we just went easy peasy, Hyper 9. Yeah, simple. It's a 750 amp controller. It's got heaps of go. I drive it up quite easily up on my trailer. No hassle at all. So it's got plenty. Yep.
Given the car's history.
Sorry?
Given the car's history, how did Bernadette find you?
Oh, she came to these meetings here, and I opened my mouth, and she came out, and then she decided I was going to do the car, you know.
So she had in mind to go converted?
She just came straight to me. I don't think she spoke to anybody else, you know. This is not just a conversion. This is like a restoration. Some of the bits, I mean, the shock absorbers are custom made. We only just got them a week ago. The tie-down bolts that hold the body shell, we had to sit on a lathe and make up 21 of those, you know. There's so many parts we had to make, and it's handy having a workshop with some of the gear that you can make a lot of your own parts. It's not cost effective. If I could buy them, I'd buy them, but, you know, it just doesn't exist. And so really there's off and on 2 years work sitting there, you know. Yeah. Jan?
Yeah, how are you going to go registering it?
So,
Sorry?
Registration.
Oh, no, that'll be fine. It's actually already been engineered. Yeah, even though I know it sounds crazy, it's not finished, but the engineer came out, he's done his inspection. When we finally finish, he'll come out and do one last look to make sure we did exactly what we said we were going to do. He's happy with that. Engineering's not a big deal here in Queensland, as long as you've done the job right. And I mean, blind Freddie can look at that and see how tidy that job is and how well it's been put together, you know. So when you're doing a conversion, what they're worried about is that your high voltage cables are properly tethered and enclosed, and all the work's done to a high standard. Your battery restraint is up to the case. If that was in an accident, they wouldn't want loose cells to come flying out, sort of thing, you know. So that's their main concern. As far as the rest of the car goes, it's straightforward roadworthy. The brake stopped, it's a steer, the shock absorbers work, you know, headlights, tail lights, that sort of thing, you know. We've actually got 2 horn buttons on it. We've got the one in the middle of the steering column, and we've actually got the original one on the dash. So back in the day, back in the 60s, they just had a little lever on the dash and that was your horn, but we just made both of them go, that sort of thing. We didn't have the consoles or anything like that, so we had to make our own. You'll see a lot of custom-made stuff in there. It just didn't exist. So we had to get some sheet metal and make up what we needed to have in there. We hid the stop button in the glove box so that it doesn't look so. We didn't want it to look like a science experiment. We wanted it to look like an original car. The gauges, we had to come up with gauges, tacho and speedo. We used a GPS speedo, and we've used a 12 volt tacho, because the original tacho and speedo worked off 6 volt, not 12 volt. So, it wasn't never going to work. So we had to come up with something. But yeah, there's a lot of electronics in under the dash there just to make all that sort of gear work, yeah. There you go. Have I covered everything?
The Curlew has a question.
What's the question?
I know someone's asked, does it have a battery cooling?
No. The battery's big enough and the drawer's not big enough to worry about heating the cells on the drawer. We're only doing single phase charging at 3 kilowatts, so we don't need to worry about cooling the batteries on the charge cycle. If we were to go and put DC fast charging on, and we could, then we would have to think about some sort of cooling. But for the practical use of the vehicle isn't going to be driving around North Queensland around to all these places. This is a car she's going to take out on Sundays, or maybe go down to the shops and back. She's never going to do a huge long drive with it. So the practical answer is no, we weren't going to worry about that. We could add cooling to it, it's just not necessary. Yeah. No, I haven't actually, but we did the weight and measures from whatever information we could glean from the S800 Club. We believe this car is probably just a tad lighter than it was when it was a petrol car, when you take out all the junk that was in it, Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot faster. I can guarantee you. We took it for a drive, and even though we only got front brakes, we waited for a nice straight bit of road with no traffic, and it went like an arrow. It was just astounding. So Bernadette's in for a bit of a surprise. Any other questions? That's it?
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Graham, once again. Thank you to Peter, thank you to Bob. Really appreciate your content, guys, tonight. Once again, we're going to wrap it up, and tea and coffee and snacks are in the kitchen there. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next month.
Thanks.